Hi, welcome to. So that was funny. Like, I got a text message from Brandy. She's like, "Did you go live?" And I clicked in to say, "I'm live now." Sorry about that. Let's begin again. Welcome to Everyday Manifesting. I am Fran. I'm your host. If you're new around here, I am so happy that you're here. We talk about money and the law of attraction. And I'm trying to figure out if Facebook is going to show me anything today. I hope so, because I want to see comments and all that good stuff. Let me tag some people. Okay. All right. So we talk about money and law of attraction. So many downloads this morning. I'm getting so many downloads. But what I want to really talk to you about today is that yesterday when I came on, I was chatting about, hashtag win life and talking about what happened with me when I realized that there was a better way to do life. And I found all these millennials who were completely setting up their life in a different way that was making it so easy for them to be rich at a young age and be able to work in their passion and not work in whatever career field their parents told them to work in. And that was such a, hey Diane, that was such a just an eye-opening experience for me. I mean, a lot of emotions came up. It wasn't just that my eyes were open, a lot of emotions came up. So I talked about that a little bit yesterday, and then I had this huge, I don't know if this happens to you, if you have, I think it happens to anxious people. You have a conversation with someone, and then for the rest of the day, it's going in your head because you're like, oh, I should have said this. Oh, I didn't say this very well. Oh, I hope they weren't offended by that. And that happened to me yesterday because I was like, well, I talked about the millennials and talked about win life as though that was the only way to win. Hey, Duquesa. Yes, me too. Hey, Brandy. So, I'm so glad that I can see comments today. I'm Kurt. I'm looking Kurt today. I didn't look like this 15 minutes ago. I woke up late, had to take the kids to school in the car, and yeah, it's a whole thing. So anyway, I spent all of yesterday going back over the conversation in my head and saying wait a minute, I talked about the millennials who were winning life, hashtag win life, but I didn't play it back to say what do you do if now you're over 40 and you're just now figuring these things out and you don't have the benefit of 20 or 30 additional years to get your act together, right? I mean, you still do, you have 20, 30 years, but what I mean is, how they tell you oh, when you start, right after high school or even in high school, your rich grandfather told you how to save from a young age and now you got all this money and you can pay for college. You don't have that time for interest to compound in the rearview mirror, and you're just now starting from now. So I really didn't go into the fact that I'm in that category and you are probably in that category, and it's not a hopeless place to be. So it was nagging me until I saw Ray's comment where she put in hashtag replay, hashtag win life, and I was like, you know what? Ray is watching this. I am definitely going to come on today and tidy this all up and put it in a box with a bow so that you know that your situation is not hopeless. So one thing that I also want to touch on, because this really got me, is so what happened to me was I took a different job because I couldn't do hospital anymore. It was killing me. And I was either I'm leaving medicine or I'm going back to do another specialty, or I just have to do something else. So I took a different job where I was working in a long-term care facility way out in the country, not in the suburban area where I was, and I had a 1 hour long commute one way. So it's 2 hours a day when I was just in my car, and by the grace of God, I discovered podcasts. So I was listening to these podcasts, and Fire Drill podcast was my favorite. These two girls that were very young, early 20s, no life experience, just a little bit of life experience, and everything was just rosy and perfect, and they were just doing life the best way they could, right? And I was like, shame spiral, right? So I was both inspired and also humiliated. And I had like a little email conversation going on with them a couple times during this time and since, because they were the first podcast to open my eyes to what all is possible financially, and I learned so much from all their guests on the show. But I also told them, hey, y'all are making it real hard for people who are older, because it was like embarrassing if you made mistakes, right? Because that's how I was. This is why I don't talk to 20-year-olds. This is why I had the Midlife Vibe Tribe. This is why I'm like, only bring your grown-up conversation, right? Like, I don't want to talk to some young person who feels like everything is rosy in the future and they could never possibly make a financial mistake, because that was me, right? Like, full disclosure, that was me. When I was younger, people were telling me stuff and I was just like, oh, that's so sad for you. That ain't never gonna be me, because my life is all ahead of me. I know what I'm doing, and it was like nobody could even convince me, could tell me that there was divorce in my future. Nobody could tell me there was infertility in my future. Nobody could tell me that there was a total career change in my future, that there was $500,000 plus of debt in my future. Like, nobody could have convinced me of that. So I don't talk to people that age, because they got everything in front of them. They know everything they need to do, right? Some of them, are trying to pay attention and listen. So in that case, you're welcome here. But if you think like, oh no, that could never happen to me, and I know what I'm gonna do, I got it already figured out, that was me. Thank you. Bye, Felicia. Right? Like, I'm gonna say that to myself, because I know how I was. I didn't think I was ever gonna get old. I remember we'd go to the club. I know this is like all off track, but we'd go to the club. There'd be like 30-year-old women in the club, single, looking for a man or whatever, and I was fitting and fine, and I was just like, oh, that's so sad. That's really sad. Girl, just keep on living. Keep on living. So anyway, so I wanted to talk to you about what can you do if you find yourself in this position where you're over 40 and you're starting over. You're starting over, you're just opening your eyes, like you just woke up. You just woke up to all the financial information and coaching and everything, possibility that's out there for you that you did not know was possible this whole time. It was like this underground, network that was going on. And when I discovered it through podcasts, it opened up an entire world for me, and literally my life has totally changed. I mean, I met Michelle Rohr by listening to podcasts, and that was like a game changer for real. That was like the beginning of the game changers. So what do? So just a contrast, okay? 20-year-old people, they get their, go to college, they become an engineer. Maybe they don't like engineering, but it pays a lot of money. So they go into engineering and they get out and they start making all this money, but they still live like they're in college, or they still live very cheaply. They still live in their parents' basement. They save 70% of their income. They get married, but they don't have a wedding. They don't get a diamond engagement ring. They just get married secretly, and they take all the money and they go buy a house, right? And it's a duplex. So they live on one side very, very cheaply, and they rent out the back bedroom, and then they rent out the other part of the duplex. And so now the people who are renting the house, it's called house hacking. People who are renting a house are paying the mortgage. So basically they're living there mortgage free. They're eating ramen noodles or whatever, and they're banking like 85% of their income. They do this for 10 years. Then they effing quit their job and they open up a jewelry making business on Etsy, and they love their life, and they make $10,000 a month, and they are financially independent. At age 29, we're financially independent, and we have a dog, and we may or may not have kids, because kids may or may not be like morally selfish or something. They used to talk about that a lot. And so this is the story. Like, this is the story I was hearing. And I was like, oh my gosh, what? Like, I could have not gone to medical school. Like, I was in school, I think I finished when I was 27. Like, that's when I finished higher training and actually started making money. So this entire scenario already canceled me out, like from the beginning. It was like, oh, that won't be you, because you weren't getting out of college and going straight into a money making endeavor. You were not. You had like 10 more years before you could do that. And notwithstanding the fact that I was in training until 27, I came out of the gate. I was making some money. I could have saved and still done this scenario in my 30s. But did I? No, I did not. I hated my job. I hated my life. I absolutely had a huge wedding. I absolutely had several rings and watches and BMWs and all the things, right? Like I absolutely pampered myself like there was no tomorrow. Like that is how I live. I'm a spender. I spend, that is how I live. So I had some really great experiences with money where I went on spa trips and things like that and really enjoyed myself and vacations. But I also had some really stupid experiences with money where my name should be outside of Walmart and my name should be outside of Hobby Lobby, because that's how much cash I just threw away in those stores. So I got to age 41 and I had the most super crazy midlife crisis, because it was actually a good thing as it turned out. But there were several months there where it was very, very scary, because I felt like I was losing my mind. I just felt like my entire world turned upside down. And then I discovered these podcasts and it just kind of reinforced that it was true. It was just like, look, you have done your life wrong. You have messed up and you cannot fix it. It's just messed up. Like it's gone. Like you're about to die and you are a loser at life. Sorry. And so I remember my friend Chisomo, because at this point I was in SOS Club, and I said, you know what, I'm 41, but by 55, I'm going to have my stuff together, because I thought it was going to take me that long to get out of debt and everything. And I was like, I'm going to have my stuff together, and I am going to be rich, because I learned it all now. And I'm gonna fix this. It's just gonna take me a while. And I remember Chisomo commenting and saying like, why not 45? Why are you gonna be rich when you're 55? Why not 45? And I was just kind of like, how's that gonna happen? So it stuck with me, clearly, because I can run it back to you right now. It stuck with me, and I thought, well, why not? Well, what would I have to do? You know, we tend to give ourselves all this time and say like, oh, when, and that's how I got in this trouble. It's like, oh, I'll save when I have kids who need to go to college. And I was like, kind of late. But we tend to give ourselves all this time to do these big things, when in actuality, why not push it in? Right now I do 12-week year. I do a year's worth of stuff every quarter, because I've decided that it's just as easy for me to sit back and watch Netflix as it is to sit in my computer and make something pretty or help somebody. So let's talk about guilt and shame, because that was the biggest thing that I was experiencing that was negative in my life, was guilt and shame. Brené Brown talks about guilt and shame, and she says that guilt is when you know and you say to yourself, I did something bad. I spent all my money. I overdrafted my checking account every month for years. I didn't know. I threw it all away. I spent all this time in school, and then I threw it all away. The whole opportunity that I had to be rich by now, I threw it all away. Okay, I did something bad. Shame is when you say, I am bad. I am bad with money. I'm a bad money manager. I am a bad person. I am stupid. I have wasted all my time. I've wasted my life, and now I'm gonna die. I blew I calculated up, y'all. Like I was reading a book. I was reading this book, and they were telling you like to calculate all the money you've made in your life up to this point, so you can just, it was supposed to be eye-opening and show you like, you've made money in the past, you can make money in the future. But I calculated it up, and because I was in a shame spiral, I was like, I've blown $3.5 million. I've blown $3.5 million. I'm a horrible person. I'm a loser. I'm never gonna get it right. I'm divorced. I'm, single, with these kids. And even though I was married, he lived somewhere else. But anyway, And so I was just like in this shame spiral, right? So I really want to tell you, if nothing else, and we will continue this conversation all week, but what I want to tell you, if nothing else, is this shame that's a lie, right? Simone Soul, our new coach that we love, is not officially coaching us, but kind of is. Simone Soul says, you know, my brain is an asshole, or my brain is being an asshole. And that is the point, right? Your brain is going to tell you all this stuff that's like bad about you and make you feel shameful about yourself and your situation, and that it's hopeless and that you're a loser and you blew it, right? Don't listen to your asshole brain, right? Listen to your heart. I don't care what the Bible says. Your heart is not more deceitful. Don't go by your logic. Your heart is going to lead you to love, and God is love. So your heart is the one that's going to tell you, you did this stuff in the past. And guess what? What you did in the past, mismanaging money, or however you want to call it, it wasn't for you. Because all the stuff I did in the past brought me to this point. And because I'm here, I can help so many other people. Because guess what? I tell people all the time, if you are not in $500,000 in debt, let's talk, because that's the scariest place you can be. If you're not in that place, I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid, so you shouldn't be afraid. I see people and they're like, I have $41,000 worth of debt and I'm terrified. I'm like, yeah, okay, let's knock that out. We got that. That's no problem, you know, because of everything that I've been through. So my heart is saying, love, you're okay. You know, you're gonna be fine. We can do this. No matter what it is, we can do it. And we did it in 14 months. We can do it super quick, fast, and in a hurry. Do not worry, right? That kind of rhymed. But at the same time, my brain was like, you're a loser. It's too late. It's not gonna happen for you. And now my brain is like, ooh, let's go. Let's start a business. We could do this. This is awesome, right? Sometimes. So don't listen to your brain, because your brain is always going to take both sides of every story. It's going to be cheering for you on the one hand, and then as soon as something gets a little scary, it's going to tell you like, no, don't do that. It's too scary, you know, and you can't do that. People like you don't do stuff like this. So your brain is always going to take both sides of the argument. Don't listen to your brain. Follow your heart. I want to talk to you about what you can do if you are, like I was, at 41, finding yourself in this position. However, we will talk about that tomorrow. That was so mean. That was so mean. We'll talk about it tomorrow, because I'm going to give you practical steps. Like, I want to introduce it today so that you know, like, where I'm coming from, what I'm talking about, why I'm talking about this. And I want to give you practical steps starting tomorrow of what you can do with your cash flow, with your money, with your situation, so that you know, like, there is hope in your situation. No situation is hopeless. I promise you. If anybody should have been hopeless, it should have been Miss $642,256.17 or whatever it was. Like, that was my debt, and now it's nothing. I have no debt now. If you want to hear my story, join Duplexes group. It's called The Power of Her, Her. And we did a podcast, so if you scroll through, you can find, or like search my name. We did a podcast and I was telling my whole story on there, so look for that and you can watch that. Otherwise, I will see you tomorrow. We will talk about what to do if you're over 40 and you need the situation to be turned around. It can be turned around in a very quick amount of time. Let me read the comments. Okay, Brandy says, yes, that's me. Duquesa says, yes, that happens to me. Brandy says, I think I'm an old soul because I honestly just knew I was making the dumbest choices in my 20s, and I thought I wouldn't show more. I wouldn't amount to much. Yeah, you were kind of on the wrong track. You were on the wrong track. I remember some instances where I was like, what the heck is going on? But I'm so glad that I still know you and that you're still in our family, because you're like one of my bestest friends right now. And I love you so much, and I just love watching your journey. I'm about to watch your stories on Instagram. Everybody go look at Brandy on Instagram. She's got stories going on. She's starting this whole new venture starting this week, and I'm super excited about it. But yeah, I mean, like, yeah, like in your 20s, in all of our 20s, like we were all under your dumb choices in your 20s. My dumb choice was going to medical school. Like that was a dumb choice, but I was afraid to live life. These are bothering me, and it's really like my hair is curly, but I keep thinking it's like baby kinks. But anyway, but yeah, I remember being afraid to just live life. And so anytime a professor was like, oh, you're so smart, you should go to med school, I was like, okay, yeah, I think that's a great idea. It wasn't a great idea. Brandy says, wedding, my biggest pain point for me. Yep, me too. I had a big one. I had a big wedding, and my marriage lasted 6 months. So that was fun. Yeah. When you're paying off your wedding longer than your marriage, that's probably not a good place to be. Diane says, I'm catching up at 56. Oh, we're going to talk about it. It's going to be fine. DeQuesta says, now is still a good time to start. Absolutely. You're still alive. You're still breathing. You woke up this morning. Start today. DeQuesta says, listen to your heart. Yep. Yes. So we're going to talk about this. And so many downloads, y'all. Like, there's so much stuff in my brain right now. Anyway, thank you for watching. If you like this video, please tell your peeps, tell your friends to join our group, Everyday Manifesting. We got a podcast coming soon, y'all. It's gonna be so exciting. I want you to be on the podcast launch team. I got ideas coming to my brain as we speak about how to get this message out. I'm finally getting focused. I know I need to talk about money, but I've been running from talking about money, which is a clear indication that that's what I need to be talking about. People are hurting. There are people out there who really, really need to hear this. So let's spread the word. Whoever just popped in your head, who just popped in your head? Somebody just popped in your head and you're like, yeah, I know so-and-so needs to hear this. Whoever that was, share this with them in Messenger and let them know that it's not too late. They can also turn their life around. And we're gonna take it to the streets. We'll take this message to the streets. So I'm about to go in here. The budget diary just dropped yesterday. If you guys need one, people who bought one in the month of October, I sent them the updated one because they got the ugly one, and I'm like, here's the nice one. So if that was you and I missed you, then just send me a DM, and we will talk about this tomorrow. I will see you guys mañana. Bye.